Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to another Demystifying Post-Production Motion Monday. My name's Elly and I'm joined by Darren, Chad and Lionel. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good, Elly, good.
Lovely to see you all on this whole new month, whole new topic we're going to be diving into. And hey to everyone in the questions area. Hey to Hannah, Bern, Jay, Wesley. Lovely to see you all. Lovely to see like the regulars and some new faces as well. It's nice to have you on here with us. So before we get into what we're going to be doing today and over this next whole month, I thought I'd just dive into some of the other things that we're doing over, the next couple of weeks. If you just head over to the Maxon.net events page, you can see all the great things that we're doing, like as a whole collective of people. And so we can see we have our demystifying post-production, voyages across applications, which Chad's going to explain in a little bit what we're going to kind of be diving into over the next 4 weeks. And then we've also been diving into a hands-on with Maxon intro to rigging. And so if you've been part of that, you'll know this Wednesday we have part 5 coming up, where Joe Herman has been diving into some, really great like fundamentals of rigging inside of Cinema 4D. And we have a new-ish show going on where Max is covering all things to do with color grading, and he's got a special guest, Robbie Carmen, on, and that's going to be on Thursday. And then, we can dive into all of the other great stuff. We scroll down on Fridays, we've got our amazing VFX and Chill with Seth and Hashi, and, all the other lovely things that are going on. And if you ever miss any of our sessions or want to catch up on some of them or any of these other great things that are going on as a Maxon training team, all you have to do is head over to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, and you can see here we have the upcoming live streams. So on YouTube, we host now Ask the Trainer and Maxon Color. And then if we scroll down, we have individual playlists for all of our great series and shows. You can dive into all the great stuff if you want to catch up. And it's all time-stamped as well, so you can always flick through and find the stuff that's relevant for you. And also, some of our regulars may know that we love to say thank you for being part of these live sessions and workshops with us by giving you free t-shirts, kind of like this one that I'm wearing right now. And all you have to do is, if you head over to the handout section of GoToWebinar, you will see this page here where you have this super secret link and our little password for it. All you got to do, click that link, type in the password, and you're good for one shirt. All you have to do is pay for shipping, and then you can be, repping the merch like we all like to do. And on that same handout section, you'll find the project files for all of our demystifying series. And what we're going to do, guys, I imagine we'll post them post-session. Is that kind of the plan?
Yes.
Cool.
Post them.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good. Yeah, that's what we normally do. We normally do it like the day of or the next day in time for like the recording on YouTube. And yeah, so all those links that you guys could need that we've just like had a look at there, you can find it in the handout section. If you can't, sometimes in GoToWebinar, it's a little bit funny and you can't always see the handout. So if you can't, let us know in the questions area. You should be able to see that, and then we can link you to all of those lovely things. So, Chad, new month, new topic.
Yes.
What are we going to be diving into?
So yeah, the theme is voyages across applications, and what we're doing is just like talking about, especially because the world's opening up, people are traveling and whatnot. So we thought, like, let's have a travel themed month where we're taking stuff from one app and bringing it to another app. So today we're talking about advanced like Cinema 4D to After Effects workflows with Lionel, which is super exciting. And then next week we're going to be talking about taking Redshift stuff and more advanced ways. We can take Redshift stuff over renders over into After Effects and use those passes. And the week after that, we're going to be going into Unreal. And we're going to be looking at how to take stuff from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine and render there, and some very basic Unreal setup stuff. And then finally, the 4th week is actually very exciting. 3 weeks from today, I think, we're going to be doing DPP live. So demystifying live. At the time will be a little bit different. It'll be at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, and then the other times different based on that. But we're going to be talking about how to take trap code stuff and bring it into Adobe Premiere. And again, we'll be doing that live from NAB. So if you're going to be joining us at NAB, then come join our demystifying session live with us, which will be very interesting and very fun. So yeah, we're really excited about all the travel stuff. Pack your bags. I'm in Santa Cruz, California right now, as like on brand for the training thing, you know, so we're traveling. So yeah, it's fun stuff.
Keeping on theme, traveling.
Mhm.
And yeah, anybody's gonna be like live. So it's not just like we're doing it live, we're gonna be in person live.
Yes,
Which is,
you could join
gonna
us. You
be
could be there
fun.
with us in the same room as we do this, which I think would be really fun.
Cool. Also, I wanted to say hey to some of the other people that have said hey in the chat. It's nice to see you. So Jan, we've got Drake, Jay, Charles, Sharon, Anders, Glenn, Blair. It's lovely to see you all on here with us. And so I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna hand it over to Lionel so we can actually learn some cool stuff. So Lionel, are you ready for me to chuck it over?
Yes, let's go.
Cool, let's go. Let me just find you here. There we go. So yeah, don't forget, guys, keep your questions coming. You've got us all here. We've got Darren, we've got me, we've got Chad, and we've got Lionel being able to answer your questions. What we'll do, we'll try and ask as many live as possible, which should be a lot of fun as well.
All right, so today we're going to do some transition in After Effects using Cinema 4D. So that's kind of funny because it's After Effects, but then it's Cinema 4D. So for example, this one, we have that kind of transition and everything is done through Cineware. Okay, so what's cool with that is it's very easy to have a lot of different transition render live by Cineware. So there is no files, there is no PNG, there is no TIFF sequence or MP4. The only here stuff are JPEG I found on Pixels. And then we have the Cinema 4D file doing all the work. And what's even cooler, we have several ways of doing stuff. For example, this one. And it's very easy to create a pack, a transition pack with this. For example, you see here, it's calculating live. It's not real time, but it's pretty fast. I mean, it's not, it's the same speed as you would have with After Effects. And it's very easy to change with the very same file here using the take. So for example, here I'm coming from this one, which is a linear transition, and using take, we'll see how to set up that. I can make it like a box transition. Same file, infinite variation. And this is typically the kind of transition that would be difficult to do in After Effects. Not impossible at all, but it's kind of, well, it's going to take time. It's going to be a bit long to do. And in Cinema 4D, it's so easy. And there is many kind of transition we can do like that. So again, it's all render live. Pretty fast. Very easy to set up. So at the end, we have this transition pack, which is so easy to iterate. So yeah, you need to have Cinema 4D Studio to use this. I'm afraid Cinema 4D Lite is not going to work because we're using the full MoGraph set. But I'm sure there's a way to make it work with Cinema 4D Lite, but that would be maybe for another session. This one is ready for Cinema 4D Studio. So first I'm going to create the transition in Cinema 4D. As you can see, those are all files, Cinema 4D files, very easy to create and to set up. Then we'll see how to use them inside After Effects without rendering anything. So let's go to Cinema 4D where we have our different transitions. So this one I haven't even shown you. This one is pretty funky too. And all those are just a few MoGraph objects to set up together. Okay, so let's start. Starting from a brand new scene, and maybe I'm going to start with our square, our small square we have here. So for this one, I'm going to use an array of shape. So let's start with our end side. I'm going to use the end side a lot because the end side can create you hexagon, octagon, circle, triangle, and even line if you want. It's very, very powerful. So here I'm going to create a 4 side, which is a diamond shape. It's square, but this way it looks like a diamond shape. So it's going to be easy to set up and pretty nice. Then I want to create a shading surface for that because this is a spline. I want to make it a polygon object. So let's use our extrude. And my extrude is going to be very thin. So let's make it 0 centimeter. So it's only this single cap you can see here. And now we're going to duplicate it through MoGraph. So the inside, I'm going to make it a lot smaller, like 20 centimeter, because there will be a lot of square. And let's put it, the whole thing inside MoGraph. We have our cloner. And then I'm going to use one of the array. And then we have the honeycomb array. Honeycomb array is going to iterate using a honeycomb pattern, which is very nice for this kind of stuff. So I'm going here, we have the count. I'm going to change first the mode and the size, width, and height. So there is some math to make it work at the first time, but I'm a bit lazy. So I'm just going to guess it doing that. Okay, at the end, we want to have something which is plain. You can have your stuff slightly on top of each other. So to verify that, we can just create a material. I'm going to use a luminance material because at the end, we're going to use that. I'm going to put it on the cloner. And obviously, there is still a tiny gap between them. So yeah, obviously, it's 20 by 40 centimeter. Okay, now we have that because by step, it's very easy to make it bigger. And already that kind of setup in After Effects is not difficult to do, but it requires a bit of practice. Here it's very fast. Very fast, you just create it like that. Then we want to create a transition, then we will color it. So the transition is, again, very easy, very basic stuff. I want to make it simple for this webinar. So it's almost a beginner webinar. So here with our cloner, I'm going to use the plane deformer. So the plane deformer is going to move everything up by 100 centimeter. I don't want that. I don't want to move the position. I just want to play with the scale. Uniform scale, let's put a -1 scale. So meaning that I'm going to subtract 100% of its size. So at -1, it's just gone. Then with the field, we're going to make it appear again. So let's try first with the linear field because it's the easier, I guess. And voila, it's that easy. Now you just need to slide this one. So the thing I'm going to animate is the linear field from left to right. Very easy. If you know what you're doing, this is going to take you like 30 seconds, 1 minute to do. Because I was explaining, it took me like a few minutes. So it's very fast when you know what to do, very, very fast. Okay, then I want to color that because it's, well, it's white. It's white, I wanted to make it colorful. So I'm just going for now. You have to be careful about this one because this is a material, so it's going to override any color I'm going to do with the cloner. So I'm just going to delete it for now. We'll see how to use it later. And we can see already we have some coloring thanks to the linear field. So that's because our plane, so we have our cloner using the plane effector, which is here. And the plane effector by default is going to color it using fields there, okay? And my field is here. And this is the color. So I don't want to color it with my transition. The transition is just here to make the transition. So I'm going to click there, and now we have no color. So now to color it outside of this plane effector, which is just doing the transition, let's call it plane linear transition. I'm going to create another one yet, plane deformer, a plane effector. So I'm going to take the cloner. Be careful with that, because if you take a cloner and you choose an effector, the effector is going to be applied automatically. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now we have a second plane effector on top of the other. This one, I don't want to work with the position or whatever here. I just want to use the color, fields color. Then I'm going to the fields, and I'm going to use any field actually, but here I want to use a random field because I want to have some random color. Nothing happens because by default the random field has not the color ticked on here. So you just click here and then you have your color. Okay, so this one is pure random color. Not very interesting because it's pure random. I mean, when you want to have something random, it's better to have some kind of order inside the randomness. So here we have two things, the randomness of the pattern and the randomness of the color. I want to control the randomness of the color. You're going here to the random field, you have a color remapping. So no remap, color mode no remap means that's going to take any color on top of that. It's a pure random color. Not very interesting. So let's change the pure random to a color. So this one is going to create, well, you'll see. It's going to take one color and iterate it with lightness. So we have this pattern, which is quite interesting. And of course, we have our linear field working on top of that. So this is already interesting because you just need here to change your color to red, to blue, whatever you want. Okay, so that's interesting, but I want to have more control than that. So I'm going to change the color mode here from color to gradient. So now it's all mapped to black and white randomly. And I want to control this color with my custom colors. So there's many ways to create colors in Cineware. I'm going to use the quick way, but I'll show you a trick just after a bit. So here I'm going to load the preset. So if you don't see that, you just need to untwirl, okay, twirl open. And then we have our load preset. And we have several presets, the very same that you have in the content browser. And you can load whatever you want. So that could be this one. I'm just going to double click. And it's going to randomly map the color based on that gradient. And you can use one of those or one of these because those are stepped color, meaning that there is no gradient between one tone or the other. If you look at this here, you can see they all have a different hue, slightly different hue, but different hue. If I want to restrict my color, I'm going to use one of them here, which has stepped color. So now we have several. Here you can see a patch using this color.
Hey, Lionel?
Yes.
Can I interject a question? This is phenomenally interesting to me, by the way. This is absolutely amazing. Is there a quick way, if you have a gradual gradient like that, to convert it to like hard stops without manually dragging and everything over?
Yeah, we're going to see that. It's
okay.
I mean, I would dream to have the color tools of Cinema 4D inside After Effects. I love After Effects, but there's several stuff that's so outdated. And here, for example, you have each of your stop. Here is step interpolation.
Step. Gotcha.
So you just
okay.
select all that like that, and you change all of them to smooth. And you can see it's not that interesting. And back to step.
Oh,
very
gorgeous.
Easy. And you can change that very easily. It's very, very nice. It's just, I mean, just the surface. We will see that it's very easy to create color gradient. Okay, so we have this one. I'm going to keep those colors for now. We'll see how to create a gradient and then how to save it. So I have this gradient and I'm going to, well, let's go there. So now we have the randomness of the color taken care of. Now I'm talking about the randomness of the pattern because we can see some kind of pattern here. And this is the random field. So in the color remap, it was a color. If we go to the field itself, we have the type of randomness you're going to use. So here it's a noise, meaning that it's a pattern like a Perlin noise. And if you change the scale, you will see after some time, some kind of pattern is going to emerge. You can see there is some patch. Those one are together, the blue are coming together, here the beige is also, so it's interesting because it's going to create you pattern depending on the noise, and you can try noise which are different. The cell Voronoi is going to create you cell Voronoi pattern like that. So of course, because our field is based with square, you won't see very much of those patterns, but still it's interesting to have a different take. And you just change the seed to have a different pattern. See, this one is interesting with the big white. In case you don't want to have something so discernible, I mean, that with a very distinctive pattern, you can use here instead the pure random. So pure random is going to give you, it's going to give you a pure random Gaussian noise, meaning that each value is going to try not to have the same value as the other. So if we go back, yeah, the scale doesn't work, but here we are in random, and if I try here, you will see we have less patch together. Okay, there is also the sorted noise, which is like the random, but even more sorted. As you can see, there is some kind of pattern. It's all interesting because it's again all random, but it's going to give you shape that you can play with. So maybe, well, I'm fine with that. Okay, about the how to create color. So yeah, I don't have, let me check very quickly if I have my reference file. Yes. Okay, so I found this image on Pinterest that I found that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to create my gradient with that. Okay, so there is several ways to do this. Let's go back to our random field. So plain color. Let's call it, because they're all plain something. So plain color. And if I'm going to the field and then the color remap field, you have here, if you take any color, you will have some option to create the color you want. So it's here. It's a bit hidden because again, you have to twirl open this one, and you have to select one stop, whichever one you want, and then you have all this dialogue. And here you have all the different color selectors. So RGB, hue, saturation value, Kelvin, and so on. And you have one which is you have also the gradient like that. And you have one which is very interesting, this one. So this is a color from picture. So here I can drag and drop the file I showed you, which is this one. Let's put it here. It's going to load the picture. And then you have here some button. And if you click plus, it's going to change your different knob. Then you can put wherever you want. So I just need one more. And here we are. I have all my different color. And actually here, I'm just working on this color, but here I have created a palette. Okay, and this one is the one I'm interested in. Okay, this palette here. So now if I want to replace the palette I have created with this one, I mean the other way. So I want to replace this one with the new one here. You just need to take this one and put it there. And that's it. Very easy. Now I just need to take everything, so it's already selected, and change it to step. And we're back on track. Just need to slide this one, and we have our color gradient based on this picture created very quickly. Once you have that and you're happy with it, it's very easy to save it as a preset. You just click here, Save Preset, and I'm going to put it inside my library. So actually, my database is this one. This is a database I created. I think Jonas have created some great quick tips on how to set up your own database, so I can share it with my different computer and so on. This one is the Cinema 4D database. So this one is very nice because I can share it with computer, and also when I'll go to Cinema 4D 26, 27, 28, and so on, I'll just have to load this database, so I will never lose my gradient. And then, so I'm not going to save it because I have already created it, and load preset, we can find our retro. This is the one I created. And you can have many more like that, very easy to apply. Also, very quickly, if you want to make it simple, you can just use on the same, let me, my screen is a bit crowded. Yeah, when you have a picture like that, you have just simply an eyedropper. So if I'm going to click here, this window is going to disappear, but I can just pick color for each one of them and create my gradient this way. But I like this way because it's pretty nice to pick exactly your color like that. Also, yeah, very quickly, you have an option which is pretty nice here. You can, well, you'll see. If you're going to average, no, oh yeah, sorry, it's this one. I'm going to, here, I'm going to pixelate the image. So this can be very easy if you have a complex image to summarize the color inside the image. It's a trick very often used in After Effects when you use the median filter to average the color to get the overall hue of the image. And here you can see we have the same gradient which is repeating on itself because it's very simple. So if I go back here, you see, and the dots here are going to be scattered the right way on the image. So it's very nice. Yeah, I would love to add that, to have that on After Effects. We still don't really have color management, color palettes, proper color palettes inside After Effects. You're supposed to use the library, but all right. So we have enough with the color. So I have created this transition. I'm just going now to animate it. So very easy again. Let's go from right to left, from left to right, sorry. So this is the linear field I'm going to move. Let's use the coordinates. I'm going to create a keyframe there. Yeah, I was on frame 25, not a good idea. Let's see the keyframes, it'll be easier. So I'm just going to slide it there. Okay, and my transition is going to be 20 frame, maybe. So now let's go back to the linear field. I'm going to move it all the way here. And don't forget to confirm here the keyframe. Now we have our transition. And we'll have ease movement. I don't want that. So I'm going here to switch to the curve mode, select everything. I'm going to type L. L is linear. So our motion is pure linear. Now let's create a camera and frame it the right way. So use the camera. I'm just going to take the where I was here. So I'm going to be the camera, and I'm going to zero it out. Right click, right click, right click, right click, not on the Z axis, because this is our zoom. And now we have our front camera and our motion like that. Okay, now we're almost done. There is just one slight problem, is that the color are not really the right color, meaning that if we go to the random field and the color remap, you can see this is not right. That's because there is still some shading on it. There is no material, so there's still some shading from the default light. I don't want that. I want to have a pure shading. I want to have a reflect effect. So I'm going to get back with my material on the cloner. Now it's all white. Don't worry. You just need to go to this material, which is a standard material, okay? For this one, we don't need redshift. You can use redshift, of course, but there's no point because we're doing basically 2D. We're doing something which is not photorealistic, and I want to have something super quick. Okay, so I'm not using redshift, I'm using just a plain old Cinema 4D standard renderer. So the luminance is, it means that there is no shading, no specular, nothing. And here in the texture slot of the luminance, I'm going to load our MoGraph color shader, and that's it. Now we have the right color. And we have a transition. Okay, so if we want to now to use that, because that's half of the work. That's half of the work. If I want to use that inside After Effects without doing any rendering, I need to save it first. So let's create a new project. Save my project. I'm going to let's put it inside a temp file, temp folder, and this is going to be Sq.Diam. Okay, very important. You need to check both your project settings, the FPS, frame per seconds, because in Europe it's 25. It should be 30 if you are in the USA, Japan, and so on. Okay, so be careful with that because it's going to give you a lot of headache inside After Effects if you forget about it. That's not all. You need to check also here in the render settings. So here, your output resolution. This is going to be the final output resolution. So to make everything go faster and smoother, I'm going to keep this low resolution. And here, be very careful with the frame rate, okay? The worst that can happen to you is to have that 30 and 25, okay? Don't do that. It's not automatic, meaning you can have different frame rate here and here. It's going to give you a lot of problems. So be very careful, never to forget that, that number, okay? All right, that's all I have to do. Now I'm going to save, and let's go to After Effects.
Lionel, there's actually been a question sort of relating to frame rates from Boca. He's saying, if the C4D project file is in a higher frame rate, can I use After Effects to keyframe time remapping to get the ease I'm looking for, or is it better to be done inside of C4D?
Yeah, it might work, but not a good idea. I would really recommend to do it inside Cinema 4D because we have all the timing tool you need to use. It might work though, I don't know. I haven't even tried, but I will be very cautious with that.
Cool, thanks.
Already better do it inside Cinema 4D. Okay, so inside Cinema 4D, we have our project. I'm going to import my Cineware file. So it's here. I'm going to After and the temp folder, okay, I was using Sq.Diam, all right. It's going to create automatically a composition here. Okay, why not? I'm going to import it. So there, it's instantaneous because I have already opened a document. Be careful with Cineware because the first time you're going to load a Cineware file, it can take up to several minutes sometimes to open. Don't worry, After Effects is not frozen. You just have to wait it out. Okay. Once Cineware has been launched at least once, it's going to be very fast like that. But the very first time, I mean, it can take a while. Okay. Now, if I go, you can see we have the automatic caching, and this is already usable almost because you have this line here. And the trick here is I'm going to use that. Here you have our Cineware effect, okay? And this is the render viewport draft. Let's switch it to viewport. So viewport is going to get rid of this line, and it's still going to be very, very fast because there is no shading, no shadow, no reflection, no GI, no light, no nothing. So it's very, very fast. You see, it's already cached in. And this is like a file. You can do whatever you want with it. So let's import some picture, some placeholder. So we have our pics. I'm going to import it as a folder. Where is it? Yeah, import as a folder, and don't create any composition. All right, it worked. Now we have a lot of picture. And if I put just a picture here, I'm going Control Alt H, Shift H. So Control Alt Shift H to size it to the width of the composition. And we have our transition like that. So here, because this is a file, a standard file, you can think this is just footage, meaning that you can do whatever you want with it. So you can go to the style, layer styles, and add some inner shadow, for example. It looks already much nicer this way. Okay, and it's going to be still very, very fast because this is After Effects. This is just all fake, but it works. It's pretty nice. So I can just disable the layer style, for example, or more the inner shadow, and maybe use instead our layer style. Where is it? Yes, here, and you can use a bevel instead. Another look you can see. And of course, you can use any plugin you want. It's going to work. It depends on what you want to do, but you can use some texture, for example. You can use some noise. It's footage. I mean, you're in After Effects, you just do whatever you want. So let's use some noise to make it a bit nicer like that. It's going to add a bit of consistency. It's footage, and you don't need to relaunch your render because it's so fast. See? Okay, so it's 1280 by 720. It's pretty fast, but still it works. If you want to make any edit to your file, you just go back to C4D. And for example, I want to change my pattern, my noise pattern here. So I'm going to change here my random field. Let's go to the field. I'm going to change the seed. You need to save it. Don't forget to save it. So I'm going to save. All right, that's done. Let's go back to After Effects. And here, I think it's done already, but it's going to incorporate the change. You will see on the info, yeah, incorporated change footage. So here it's going to cache again, and we have our different stuff. Okay, so that's already, I think, pretty cool because again, you can do that in After Effects, but it's not that fast. And to change anything, it's going to be difficult. Okay, and even to do that, actually, it's not that easy. You need to use scripts and to layer keyframe and so on. It's pretty painful. You can do everything, of course, with After Effects, but it's often very painful. Here, MoGraph is able to do it very quickly, very easily. So now, where it's going to get really, really interesting is that we can incorporate takes, meaning that we have just this simple transition here. And I can have a lot of transition inside one Cinema4D file, okay? So actually, I could make all the transition you have seen earlier into one Cinema 4D file. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make some different transition with the same pattern. So we're going to use take for that. It's very easy to use, you'll see. So let's go back to Cinema 4D. We have our file. I'm going to uncheck here my plain linear transition. Okay, so now we have no transition at all. I'm going to the cloner, and I'm going to create a new plane effector. Actually, I don't even need to create a new plane effector. I'm going to turn this back on, but I'm going to keep the linear field doing the transition switched off. Okay, so no transition, but it's still our plain linear transition. Here in the field, I'm going to add now. So we can see here, it's just a warning saying that, hey, your linear field is turned off. Be careful. Okay, I know, no problem. I'm going to now to use on top of that a box field. And you can see it works. So my box field now is another one. I'm going to put it on normal just to make sure. The blending mode here, yeah, I mean, it's going to work here with Max, but it's a good habit to keep it in normal if you're going to use it by itself. So box field here in the field and the remapping, we have size. And I'm just going to animate this. So let's go to the frame 0 again. And I'm going to animate from this one, so nothing. Okay, so actually have animated this size. Let's create some keyframes. Let's go to 20 frames again, and I'm going to make it bigger. Let's go, let's go, let's go, like that. Okay, that's enough. Let's go back here. I'm going to confirm the keyframe, and now I have my transition. H to frame everything. I'm going to take everything. L to have a linear transition. So it's going to do that. And actually, maybe I don't want to add that. If I want to reverse it, it's very easy to. Let's go to the box field. And here it's in the remapping. You can just invert. So now it's going to appear like that. Okay, so if I save it, if I go back to After Effects, it's going to refresh. And let's see. Okay, cool. But now if I want to go back and to have the linear transition, I'll have to switch this back on and so on. That's what the takes are going to do for you. Okay, so let's take a moment and think. The transition is made by the linear field or the box transition. So if I want to go back to my linear field, it's just this. Now, introducing the takes, I'm going there. We have takes, okay? I'm going to undock this and let's put it right here. So I'm going to take the 3 lines here, hold my mouse and put it there, okay? And this is my main take, okay? I'm going to create a new take, clicking here. And this new take is going to be the linear. Okay, I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to create a new take again, and this one is going to be the box. Now, the idea here, your main take is where everything is happening. So I'm not going to explain everything about the takes, just a very quick summarize. The main take is where everything happens. If you do anything on the main take, it's going to be inherited here in the linear and box. Okay, so here on the linear, I have my linear field activated. Now, if I go to my box, so I'm going to click here to be the box state. If I want to change something here, you will see that everything is grayed out. I can't do anything. And that's the whole point. So here I'm going to activate the auto take. And you really need to be careful with that. If you do that, everything turns blue. That's a warning saying that be careful with what you do. You're on take mode. You don't create on take mode, you tweak thing, okay? You create in the main mode, so you can see there is no warning. And on the take mode, you're going to change stuff already existing. So here on the box mode, I'm just going to turn off the box field. The opposite, I'm going to turn on the box field and turn off the linear field. Okay, so now I have my box field animation. And if I switch to the linear field, I have my linear animation. It's as simple as that. And the main is both. So usually the way I use it, I don't use the main. The main one is my where I put everything, and then I define the take here with those. So now if I'm going to save this, and let's go back to After Effects, you need to save. We will have now a new command, which will be our take. So actually, the only caveats, if I remember correctly here, the display we need to change from viewport to current. So current meaning that it's going to be a real render. So it's going to be a lot slower, because here on the viewport, this is only the viewport shading, meaning OpenGL shading. Current is going to be the real render with the render engine. But then you have the takes. So here I'm going to set my take. This is the linear take. Okay, perfect. And if I want to change to the box take, and that's it. Now I have switched from one take to the other. So that means now with just one file, I'm going to duplicate our Sq.Diam. So we have a second composition with the same Cinema 4D file. So in the Sq.Diam 2, so let's call this one box. Let's call this one diamond. Linear. On the linear, I'm going there and I'm going to change the take back to linear. So this one is linear. And this one is still a box. Let's go back to see it. So once you have understood that, that means you can create a lot of different take with different colors and so on. So let's just see if you want to have a different set of color. It's just the random field state which is going here to change. So let's create on this linear, I'm going to create, so it's here in file, let's create a new, you don't see it, all right, so right click here, child take, okay, meaning that this take is going to inherit of the linear take. And here, let's call it other color. So I'm still on this one here. And here in the color remap, I can just change my gradient like that, or make it like a color like this, okay? Now, if we go back here, you can see. And what's cool is now you have this other color pattern. I can take it, control, and duplicate it as a child of the other one. Meaning now we have the color, the box, and the box with the other color. So we have now 4 states. Let's save it. And if I go back there, I can change my take very easily. So box, let's refresh it. Maybe I didn't save project. Let's go back here. So it's incorporated. Yeah, it's done. Let's go back to the take. All right, I was afraid that the child take wasn't supported. I would have been surprised. So you just have to remember that it's in this order. So our linear is like this. Okay, now let's switch a few frames. I don't like the color. I'm going to take the alternate color. And so on. So you can very well imagine with just one Cinema 4D file, you can have 20 different takes, square shape, rectangular, and so on. It's very easy to combine, very, very fast. The only drawback, which is a shame, I'm sure that could be a feature request, is to use the current, it doesn't work with the viewport, and the viewport is so fast because it just OpenGL. But that works this way. So it's very, very nice to create transition like that. So yeah, time flies. Maybe you guys have question?
Yeah, so there was another question from Boca actually saying, when going for this kind of 2D look to integrate the design with other elements, do you have any tips whether to choose an orthographic view or a long lens when you're working in C4D in the camera?
Yeah, I'm using a lot. Actually, I'm going now to do some other stuff. Well, here, because it's just a very flat image, just flat square, I can use a standard camera. But using orthographic camera, you can have some very neat trick using perspective, or the absence of perspective. So yes, it's a good way. It's another way also. Well, let's see very quickly. So I'm going back here and I'm going to the main. Okay, so it's just the stuff not to forget. If you want to change things on the whole, you need to go back to your main take. Okay, so here, let's be outside of the camera. If I go back to my extrude and give it some depth, okay. Now, if I go back to my camera, we can see here there is some perspective happening. So it's interesting. That could be used as an effect. You can see here, it's different. But if you have objects which have depth and you don't want to have this skewed perspective, which is, I mean, this is perspective. This is how it works. So if you want to get rid of that, you just need to go to your camera and switch it here to parallel projection, which is orthographic. And now it's flat again. I just need to use the zoom to go back. And now, actually, I can have object very, very, very deep, like this. I mean, it's just, it's very, very weird. And here you don't see any depth. That's the trick of perspective parallel camera. And if I duplicate the camera, create a new one, and let's switch it to perspective again, you can see the difference, which is pretty nice also. I like it actually. It's a bit weird. I'm sure there's something to do with that, I guess. But yeah, it's a way to get rid of perspective.
Cool, thanks. Also, Emily was wondering, could you show again how you selected the random color inside the effector and applied it to your material, please?
It's there, just your material. So you just need to be careful here. It's the luminance. And here in the luminance, you need to use the color shader of MoGraph. So it's just going to take the color you had earlier. Otherwise, it's just going to override the color. So here it's plain white. I can do anything I want with the plain, my random effector, change color and so on. It's not going to work. And here you just need to use this one, MoGraph color shader, and that's it.
Cool, thank you. And one final quick question from Hannah. She was wondering, are you blending the compositions in After Effects together?
Well, yes. The other example, I did a bit more complicated than that. I can show very quickly. Let's go back to my main project. Okay, that's a plugin I used. And if we go to the square linear, actually my animation is this. Okay, and what I did, this is the bottom picture, and the top picture is this one. So it's a really random picture I took on pixels. And if we go back to the composition, and this one is just filtered. Well, there is the layer matte here using the alpha. Okay, so one on top of the other, it's going to do that. And then I just use another copy of my small square in color mode to colorize the underneath picture using here some opacity so that at the end it's the right color. So it gives just a bit more of depth, I think you can see, with or without. And this one also have the layer style to give some inner shadow, I think. So that's one way to do it. And you can blend picture like that very, very easily. Maybe,
That's great,
yeah.
thank you.
I could just stop here, but I just show you just one transition. So that's I have many other transition. I'm not going to show all of them, I guess, but maybe I could show a few other because I mean those square diamond. It's nice, but I really like the one with this one, the concentric diamond.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice, and we have also the dots, which is very funky.
Yeah, I like
Very
this.
70s.
Yeah, I like this one. This one's great.
And because we never finish on time.
Oh, you know we love to overrun.
So
Yeah,
just
absolutely. Yeah, show
We
us,
do.
show us how.
Show us.
a little bit. Okay, so the base principle is the same. So I will just not show the Cineware stuff because it's already done. It's just a few MoGraph tricks which are interesting. So I'm going to create the concentric circle. And for this one, it's pretty easy, but not that easy, you will see. So I'm going to create a circle, all right? And now to create the shape, I'm going to create another circle. And the second one is going to be much smaller. Okay, and we will see a trick with the parallel movement, you will see. So now I'm going to use a sweep. So the sweep is going to sweep one curve along the other. So usually, the way you read it, you need two objects. This circle is going to be extruded along this circle. So I'm going to put it there and then here. Okay, so we have a donut, all right? But if I go here, you have the parallel movement. And if you do that, now you have just a circle. So the topology is actually horrible, but we don't care. We're not doing redshift, we're not doing photorealism, we're not doing roughness and so on. We're just faking stuff, so we don't care, okay? So this is one of my circle. So the main shape is this one. If I reduce the radius, and if I make it very small, we have just one circle. Now I'm going to duplicate my sweep. And the second circle here, let's make it much bigger, like that. Okay, so what's nice here is both have the same width, okay? Because it's this circle, 23 centimeter. Now I would like to duplicate those to have all my concentric circle. So here I'm going to use a trick using MoGraph, okay, a cloner. Let's put both inside. I'm going to do some weird stuff. I'm going to put it in linear mode. Okay, so linear mode is going to offset them like that. I don't want that. I don't want to have any offset. So I'm going to put 0, meaning that we have 6 copies onto themselves. There are 6 times this stuff on top of each other. And now I'm going to use a very nice mode here, clones. If you change it to blend, it's going to take care of all the rest. And now if I change the count, so what's it going to do is going to take 2 identical objects, compare all parameters, and then it's going to blend those parameters between them. So here it's going to take this circle, which is 23 centimeter, and this one, and create copies in between. Okay, so now I just need to write the file number to create this. Okay, now if we want to animate that, it's very easy. We're going to animate the sweep because they're already done. You just need to animate the end growth or the start growth. So let's animate the end growth. Here it doesn't matter which way. End growth, so starting from 0, end growth. Let's go to 25 frame. Create a keyframe. All right, so that's it. And if I wanted to make a full transition, I would animate also the start growth for another 15 frame, like that. So now my animation is this. Okay, so it's still very boring because it's all the same everywhere. So let's do something else. I'm going to use my cloner and use now our all-powerful random effector. So it's going to take all my clones and offset them from this position. So I don't want to on the position. I want to do it on the rotation on the B banking axis. And this is already more interesting. So let's go 360 degrees. And now my animation is like that. Much nicer. Still, we need colors. So this is the same trick as we have seen before, but it's going to be different. Actually, if we're going to use a plain effector to create the color, okay, so I don't want to do anything to the position. Let's call it plain color. If I'm going to use a fields and a random field like the last time, it's not going to work. Okay, actually it should. I'm a bit puzzled why it doesn't, but anyway, it doesn't work. So you can use instead here, you have a special field, which is the step field. Okay, so there's no, it's a bit late to explain the step field, but it's going to, you will see with the color. So I'm going to take a step field. We still don't see anything because I need to activate the color also. And now you can see we have our gradient. And it's a very progressive gradient. That's what's really nice. So if we go now to the color remap, we can see it's going to work on this color. Let's go to the gradient, and I'm going to load my preset, this one, and that's it. And because I don't have enough colors, you can see they're repeated with each other. Okay, so if I want to make it more interesting, if you go to remapping, so there is a lot of settings everywhere, but they all make sense. When you know them, after it's very easy to do whatever you want. So here you have a contour. I want to repeat that onto itself. So contour, let's go back to curve, okay? The curve is going to determine how the color are distributed, but I don't want that. I'm going to right click. Let's use a linear spline like that. Okay, now I'm going to control a new point here, right on the middle. This one is going to be there. And now we have repeating color pattern. Still, it's not what I want. I want to have each circle is a different color. So here now you have one very interesting stuff, is the spline range. And if you change your spline range, you can see here it's going to repeat. And after some point, so yeah, you have to guess it. We'll have enough steps here to not to have any color repeating itself, and that's it. So now again, I'm going to create a camera, and let's zero it out, up, up, up. And I guess that's enough. We can just zoom in to fill the frame. We can see here on the display, we have the save frame. Something you can check is if you go to the, it's option. No, it's not an option anymore. Where is it? It's a view, yeah, configure view. All right, before it was in option, I think. So configure view. You can change your safe frame and here have 100% opacity. It's easier to see what's going on. Okay, and well, that's it. So it's a bit stepped here. Stepped, I mean, it's still, it's not very round. So you need to take your 2 circle here. And in the object, let's increase the number of points in between. Okay, now it's smooth, very nice. And again, like before, very easy, just create a material, luminance, and on the luminance material, let's use our MoGraph color shader. Let's put it back, and now we have our plain color. And that's it, another transition. Okay, so you can see there's a bit of wobbling. I don't know if you can see it with the frame rate. That's because we have all our circle slightly overlapping each other. It's still 2D after all, okay? But we can very easily fix it by not having the shape overlap. One easy fix is just to use our cloner. I'm going to use now a step effector. Many of the fields exist as effector, and many of the effector exist as a field. And really, sometimes you can use one or the other, it's the same. So here I'm going to use the step effector, and my step effector is going to use the scale. I don't want that. I want to use the position. And let's just see if I use here the Z position. So this way, there is no way that they're going to overlap. So let's put 1 minus 1 centimeter, and there is no wobbling anymore. And one very last trick here, it would be very nice to create a transition here, but you can see this is the very same, it's the in animation, the out animation is exactly the same as the in, but reversed. Not very interesting. So what I'm going to do is use my random effector, which is the one that's going to randomize the rotation of everyone. And if I use here my seed, I have a different pattern. So the trick here is to use one keyframe there. And when we have the full stuff, I'm going to change my seed to whatever I want. So now it's going to switch the order. You can see now, if you take a look at the central one, they're going to change when they are full, creating a more interesting transition. Maybe it's a bit too fast, all that, so I'm going just to increase the size. Oh yeah, and my seed here, my seed actually need to be there, just one frame before. And maybe one very last trick to show you. After that, I promise I'm going to stop. So instead of offsetting randomly our colors like that, because this is interesting, but it lacks something. There's something lacking. Okay, so I'm going to use another step effector. Actually, I could use the very same one. Yeah, let's use the same one. I could use another one, but let's use our step effector. And instead of, I'm going to offset it by Z, all right? But if I want to use the rotation also, it's just going to do that. And that is also very cool, I think. So you see, that's what I like. In After Effects, of course, you can do that. It's pretty easy, but it's still a bit long. I mean, there's no way that you can be that fast with After Effects. And I know After Effects, it was my first software, the very first I learned. I knew how to use After Effects well before how to use Cinema 4D. And for that kind of stuff, I think Cinema 4D is so great. Now you just save it as a file, So let's go here to circles. And now in After Effects, I can create, I'm going to import my new circle. And maybe let's replace here. So I don't like this one anymore. I'm going to replace this one. So Alt to switch. And now I have my new pattern. And you can see it's very fast to render. Easy transition. So yeah, I'm not going to overlap anymore because it would take too much time, but in the file I'm going to give you tomorrow, you will have all the other pattern which are the same kind. I mean, this one is just a circle. The circle spline has an option to create a hole inside. That's that easy. And this one is pretty nice. It's almost the same as the, it's a variation of the one I just showed you. So it's just circles converging on the center, and I'm animating the end spline. The only difference is here, you have another very nice option on the sweep. If you have here the end scale, so you can create that kind of pattern. You can see they're going to be smaller like that. So here, of course, it doesn't make sense, but on the other file, this one, that explains why they are all converging to the center. That's very, very 70s look. And I have used the trick here in the remapping, the color remapping to randomize the color. So here it's actually on the step, yes, here. To have many. And so that with the takes, you could create 100 transition with just 10 C4D files. Very easy. Well, that's it.
That was really great. We've got some really lovely comments as well. People saying it's been fab, really amazing, inspiring. I wish Lionel could hear all the oohs out there. I like that one.
Yeah.
A lot from me as well. So do you know what I didn't know? I didn't know that you could upload an image and pick the gradient from there. I've been using like Canva the whole time, and then sort of like copying the hex code. So that was a really great tip that I had no idea about.
This is like amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite tip was the dragging the swatches onto the gradient bar. I didn't even know I could do that.
But
That's so cool.
You know how I know all that? I just watch Jonas tips. I mean, a lot of them. I'm watching every Jonas quick tips since the very beginning, and there's been like 200 now. I don't know, a lot.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They're so
and that was
good.
one of these.
Yeah, such great tip. Yeah, Sharon was saying, lovely sessions, such great tips. I mean, yeah, for me as well.
Yes.
I feel like I learn
I was like,
something new
my
all the
brain
time.
is like melted down. It's like 10 in the morning, but my brain is already just like, all right, that's that's as much new stuff as I could learn in a day, and it was amazing.
Well, coming from After Effects, you can maybe feel the pain. You know about the pain to do that in After Effects, but because you can do anything in After Effects. There's nothing you can't do on After Effects. It's so difficult. I mean, so here on C4D, it's that fast. I love it, and you can see no redshift. You don't need redshift. You don't need to be photorealistic. I actually love non-realistic rendering.
Yeah, no, it really was. It was a great session. I love all those different transitions as well. I think they all look great.
Yeah,
Yeah, some people were saying how it would take so much longer, like you said, to create inside of After Effects, and then just with some like nice, clever MoGraph stuff, we can combine the two.
Yeah, it's really great.
Cool. So yeah. Sorry for overrunning, but I mean, you know, it wouldn't be a session with us lot without overrunning, would it?
Exactly.
And yeah, what we'll do, we'll get this uploaded on the YouTube channel either later on today or by tomorrow. And yeah, we'll throw Lionel's amazing project files on that link as well in the handout for you all basically to break down and dive into.
And he's going to be here next week too. So the fun is going to continue.
Yeah,
with
for
Redshift.
a very, very different subject. Yeah, very, very different with not that fun, maybe, but very useful. You'll see.
It's always fun, Lionel.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing.
I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure seeing all you guys and being live with everyone on the questions as well. We had some really great questions, which is really nice. And yeah, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and we will catch you on another session, I'm sure this week or next week.
Thanks,
Bye,
Elly, for running
everyone.
it too. Good seeing you guys. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Good to see you too.